Is this finally the game where the Tennessee offense goes off? The answer is yes. That March Friday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I am your host, Eric Kane. Appreciate you guys for being here today, making Locked On Vols your first listen each and every single morning. Big shout out to FanDuel Sportsbook, where customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com for more information today. All right, we got a lot to get into today. Boogie Bentley's coming on the show here in segments 1 and 2. We're going to talk a variety of subjects. Tennessee in the college football playoffs, Tennessee against Mississippi State, Bob Kessling, who announced his retirement yesterday. All that and more is coming up in segments 2 and 3 with Boogie Bentley. And then we'll talk a little bit more about Bob Kessling, voice of the Vols, set to retire and move on. What's that mean for the Vol Radio Network and for the radio broadcast for Tennessee? That's coming up in segment number 3. All that and more here on a Friday show. And without further ado, let's get into my conversation with Boogie Bentley. Boogie Bentley, Locked On, talking Vols here on a Friday morning, man. Tennessee college football playoffs ranked number 7. Seeded number 8. I understand how these playoffs work, but until seeing it play out the first time, the whole this is what you're ranked, this is what you're seeded, that's been screwing with me all week.
Yeah, I know. I see people on Twitter talking about it. I'm like, I don't even understand. Just give me the bracket so I know who Tennessee's playing and where they're going to be at. And that's what I like. A college football playoff game inside Neyland Stadium. Like that is a recruiting opportunity, right? And I'm sure you can't have visitors for a college football playoff game, but just the environment in Neyland Stadium, and man, what a sight to behold. But we got to get there first, right? We still got 4 games to go. Man, I've been talking all week, 10-2. If you had asked me before the season, you said, hey, Boogie, Tennessee's going to go 10-2. Will you take it? Sign me up for that all day. Now we sit here. If you go lose to Georgia, are we in? Are we out? I don't know. We'll see what happens.
It's kind of funny. You look at the first edition of the rankings. Now Clemson would have been in if they won, but they didn't. So Alabama's in. Gosh, man, you think if Tennessee's 10-2, Alabama's 10-2, Tennessee should get that head-to-head, right? I mean, it's why you play the football game. I understand Alabama's resume would be better because they'd have a win over LSU, a win over Georgia. I get that, but Tennessee beat Alabama. So I think from based on what we saw in week 1, I mean, even if you lose to Georgia and you're 10-2, I mean, I'd still have some confidence, right?
Yeah, you have to get in over Alabama. Like you said, if 2 teams in the same conference played each other head-to-head, that should be the most important factor in determining it. I know Heather Dinich, whatever her name is, wrote some nonsensical article. We got a Grant Ramey special on it. I made a video on it. If Tennessee and Alabama are both 10-2, you got to take Tennessee. You have to.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting, though, because, I mean, how many times do we sit here and say, like, oh, well, Tennessee's strength of schedule from the Southeastern Conference isn't that good, but it's really not. But however, look at Penn State. Penn State, who's 1 spot ahead of Tennessee, they're 29th strength of schedule. Indiana, who's 1 slot behind Tennessee, they're 103rd. Woo, 103rd. It's kind of weird to see the SEC. It's really the NFL model. The SEC truly is just beating up on its own. Is it fun this year? Because to me, and I had somebody ask me this earlier this week, like, there's not one true dominating team. I mean, people could say Oregon. I would have probably said Texas earlier this year, but I mean, that just kind of feeds into this narrative I'm pushing here, right? There's not one dominant team. There's just there's a lot of pretty good teams, and I think that's fun.
Yeah, I never in a million years thought. And I think a lot of it is just parity in college football, right? The transfer portal, NIL, I think it's giving teams more of an opportunity to go out and recruit elite talent versus just Alabama getting 5-star after 5-star after 5-star, or Georgia loading up a roster deep of 5 stars. I think we're seeing parity in college football. And it's you can look at the top, right? And you can talk about Texas, and you can talk about Georgia and Alabama and all these teams, but you can also look at the bottom of the SEC. We're about to talk about a Mississippi State team that's absolutely terrible. Guess what? Georgia beat them by 10. Texas A&M beat them by 10. Like, they've been in some close games, even though they are probably the worst team in the SEC. Look at Vanderbilt. I think it's a great time to be a college football fan. People complained about NIL and said it's going to ruin college football, but I think I'm having more fun watching college football outside of Tennessee in 2024 than I ever have.
This week in What Stupid Thing Did Mark Stoops Say? I don't know if you saw this. It was one of our things we put on Facebook. So, it's one of those we got to get out there. Mark Stoops apparently had a conversation with one of his players, current players, and about just the frustrations and the downfalls of the NIL era. And Mark Stoops says that one player says he wish he can give all the money back. You know what I'd say to that? Go ahead, buddy. You can give it back to the fans.
Donate it right back.
You can give it to a charitable cause if you want to. I'm willing to bet 100% that player, when push comes to shove, would never give how much money he made back. The fact that Mark Stoops brings that up on the SEC teleconference, I've kind of liked Mark Stoops throughout his time at Kentucky. I mean, I've kind of been in his corner a little bit. I thought he's done a good job. But here lately, Boogie, he's saying stupid things after stupid things after stupid. I mean, he was criticizing the hit James Pierce put on Brock Vandergriff. I mean, do you think there was malicious intent there? He was going to make a football play. Like, come on, dude, you're a football coach. He's been a little out there here lately.
I think the pressure's getting to him. I think Kentucky was a perfect fit for Mark Stoops. Expectations not too high, but we kind of talked about this, previous week. When you start getting $9 million a year, all of a sudden the expectations and the pressure to go win an SEC championship kind of elevates a little bit. When you're getting paid that much money, you got to have results. It doesn't matter if you're at Kentucky, Alabama, Tennessee, or Vanderbilt. You got to win. So maybe the pressure is getting to old Coach Stoops.
I see it like in a place like Kentucky where your focus is, and again, Mark Stoops, this is a couple of years ago, but when Calipari said that you're a basketball school, he's exactly right. I mean, it's Kentucky fans are like, well, it is what it is. Basketball started now. It's Kentucky and Duke are about to play and all that. Like, excuse me. I thought for the most part for Stoops, like he was in the perfect spot because the expectations weren't there because it's a basketball school. He was still making a ton of money, but I think him all but accepting the A&M job in the offseason only for them to Shiano Sunday it and say, heck no. I mean, it made it real awkward for him to come back. And he can say, oh, well, I realize this is the only – I mean, no, that's your full crap, okay? The fans didn't want you. So you're going back, and your current fans, you win some early season games, okay. They're not going to say anything, but, right now they're going to be pretty vocal.
I don't know that he would have had success at Texas A&M. I mean, maybe – recruiting success because of money and Texas money, oil money. But it just you talking about the whole conversation of a basketball school and that all those statements that came out. Aren't you grateful for what we've got at Tennessee right now? I mean, just to see everybody in alignment and seeing, Heupel and Rick Barnes supporting Tony Vitello out in Omaha when they win a national championship. I think Tony Vitello may be the biggest Tennessee football fan on planet Earth. Like that guy's passion and emotion for Tennessee football is second to none. And just having the three big programs playing at an elite level and all three coaches supporting each other. And now, women's Lady Vols basketball team looks like they're cooking right now. Just people talk about the administration at Tennessee and how it was a problem for so many years. And on the outside looking in, I'm like, why does this keep coming up? Why do people keep talking about that? And now you're seeing when the administration is in alignment, man, it is a great time to be a fan of Tennessee athletics in general.
Going to get Boogie's thoughts on Mississippi State, this matchup, what Tennessee needs to do to win to, again, set up that primetime matchup against Georgia next week. But first, Boogie, I do want to get your thoughts. Earlier on Thursday, Vol Radio Network announced Bob Kessling retiring at the end of the season. And you heard some rumors. There's always people talking about it from year to year. But going to finish out this football season, going to call this basketball season, and then there's going to be a new voice for the Vols. Bob Kessling, 50 years in broadcasting. He's been calling Tennessee football and basketball games since the late, great, legendary John Ward hung it up. Bob Kessling's first season was in 1999, full-time, or I guess is the one. It's a milestone, man. It's a pretty big deal for Tennessee fans for sure.
Yeah, I've always liked Bob Kessling. I know he gets a lot of hate and a lot of flack, and people look. They're always going to compare him and have always compared him to John Ward. And anybody that grew up my age or a little bit older, they tell the same story. Oh, I remember sitting down and muting the TV and turning on John Ward. It's like, did you really? Or is this just like that story that keeps growing and growing and growing, and everybody
growing up? That is what my dad did. So
everybody says that.
I literally have those memories. But yeah. It was even when I was little, it was Kesling. It wasn't Ward.
Oh God, you young pup. Yeah, everybody tells the same story about John Ward. So when Bob Kessling comes in after him, he's never going to be John Ward. But I think he did a good job. I've never had the hate that some people have for Bob Kessling. So kudos on him for a great career, great run, riding off into the sunset. Now the question is, who steps in? Do you want somebody that's more of a homer, a guy that brings more passion and energy? I think that's some of the criticism maybe of Bob Kessling was he called it like a radio broadcaster and not like a Tennessee radio broadcaster. Who do you bring in?
Well, I mean, your first phone call has got to be Mike Keith, 100%. 100%.
That's who I think everybody wants.
Yeah, and I mean, Mike Keith very well may say no. He's got a great gig with the Tennessee Titans. I mean, a great gig. And let's not forget, I don't think he holds it against Tennessee at all, but let's not forget, it was Kesling that got the job over Mike Keith, back in '99. So, but Keith's gone on. He's got a great situation, but you make Mike Keith say no. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, I mean, there's the Tennessee School of Broadcasting, Tennessee School of Journalism. There's a lot of good people that are all around the country. And this, the Lady Vols job, when it came open, over 200 applicants easily. This one's going to be huge. And Tennessee's going to have the pick of who they want. And I think it's going to be an interesting one. But you bring up a good point. Like, I do football, games of the week. I'm doing 2 a week right now in high school football in East Tennessee. I've done minor league baseball and stuff. I've never been, I guess I've been a voice of the K-Mets for 2 summers.
Let's go.
I've had a little bit of experience of being the team's voice, but I think you do have you got to be a little bit of a homer there for sure. A little bit of a flair there. Bob Kessling, he used to call games for Jefferson Pilot, and he used to call games for SEC Radio. And so his background before, getting of course he was always a part of the Vol Radio Network, but he had a lot of reps as being just kind of a broadcaster. And so I don't know, maybe that was kind of built him to where he is today. But I will say this about Bob. I've always liked Bob. He's always been good to me. He's been on this show many, many times. He never tried to be John Ward, and he never referred to himself as the voice of the Tennessee Vols because he says that's John Ward. I thought that was, I always had a lot of respect for that, even though he's absolutely earned that, and he should say that he is, but he never will. I like Bob. I hope he has a happy retirement. I do, and I think he's gotten a lot of. You never want to be the guy that replaces the guy. You want to be the guy that replaced the guy. So, right. You want to be the Kim Caldwell or Kelly Harper, not obviously the Holly Warlick, if that makes a whole lot of sense. So anyway, best of luck to Bob Kessling. Excited for this next chapter from him. I'm excited to see what Tennessee does, and it'll be a long, drawn-out process, that is for sure. All right, we'll get into the Tennessee-Mississippi State game coming up next. We continue here on a Friday morning Locked On Vols. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just like any other job board. LinkedIn helps you find professionals, hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open for the perfect role in a given month. Over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're truly looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get qualified candidates within 24 hours. You can hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for hiring, so why aren't you? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions, well, they do apply. And big shout out to LinkedIn as always, and big shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Exclusive apparel sponsor of Locked On Vols. Football season is here right now. It's fall. It feels great heading on into the month of November. And when you're going out to Neyland Stadium this fall, you can be decked out to the nines in style with Home Field Apparel. Can't miss Kickoff 2024 campaign. You can get the football boxes, coaching jackets, bomber jackets, and so much more. These football boxes contain 3 never-before-seen items for the University of Tennessee that are available anywhere that you can't find anywhere else. So curated so fans have new gear to wear all season long. Platinum VIPs where you receive additional exclusive items, new hats, ringer, VIP koozies, guarantees you 20% off, early access to Tennessee football releases throughout the 2024 season. No more missing out on Home Field because it's sold out. What is Home Field Apparel? Well, it's all about vintage college designs, officially licensed vintage college designs. You don't want to miss out. The ones for Tennessee are fantastic. So go to homefieldapparel.com to get started today. That is homefieldapparel.com to get started today. Boogie, it's Tennessee, it's Mississippi State. On paper, well, Tennessee should run away with this one. What's been your thoughts of Mississippi State this week when you've done your prep, when you've talked about this game? I think they got a pulse offensively. They got a clear direction. They got a young quarterback that's not half bad. They got some weapons at receiver. But I think that defense is, again, we've said this about Florida at times, Kentucky at times. But no joke, this defense literally is the worst. Clearly in the SEC, but this might be one of the worst defenses in Power 4 football right now. So there's opportunity.
Yeah, statistically really bad. But it feels like Groundhog Day because, like you said, that's what makes it almost comical. We said this about Florida. We said it even against Alabama, like they're not the Alabama of old. And
we said it about Kentucky's offense, too. So it's kind of like,
Here we go again. And it's like, I keep saying, well, we're taking steps. We're taking steps. We're taking steps. And then you and I talked about it Monday on my show. Is this just who we are? Are we just a team that's really freaking good on defense, but we keep shooting ourselves in the foot on offense, whether it's penalties or just simple execution? And it's like, are we in our own heads at this point? Just go out and make a play. Just go make a catch. That's it. Pitch and catch. That's all you got to do. Just go let loose. But we saw Nico take a step, right? And that's the encouraging part. If your quarterback can turn it around, then your wide receivers can turn it around. Let's just go out, execute, and make plays. But Mississippi State is the perfect team to do that for. It's the perfect get-right game. That's the way I'm looking at it. Tennessee should be able to focus on Tennessee, not necessarily focus on Mississippi State. I love something that Hub said in one of your podcasts this week over at VolQuest when he said Tennessee needs to go out Saturday night and do whatever they're going to do against Georgia. That's what you got to focus on. You got to use this game, and I get it, SEC. Oh, you can't overlook anybody. Don't overlook Mississippi State. I get it. You got to go out and you got to win the game. You got to go take care of business. But let's go get ready for Georgia, whether that means we're going to run 12 personnel, we're going to spread it out wide. I love what Hub said there because it makes so much sense to me. But Mississippi State should be the perfect team to do that against. They're bad everywhere. You talked about the SEC. They're 123rd in the country in rushing defense. They are bad. They are really bad. 127th. How many teams are even in college football at this point? 127th in total defense. Tennessee needs to go out and have a field day and give us, man, let's come out of this game as fans going, hey, we're going to boat race Georgia. Even though we don't really believe that, that's how confident we are after a win over Mississippi State.
Especially the way Georgia's playing right now, and especially the way Carson Beck's playing right now, which is not very good. You go out there and you do what you're supposed to do against Mississippi State, and you enter that game. A lot of confidence. Don't know if the team will benefit from all your confidence, but that'd be fun. I think my favorite stat for you talk about stacking them up against nationally and everything. Back to the SEC, you got Mississippi State's points per game total. They allow 34.6. That's 8 more points than the 15th place team in the league allows. It's incredible. They're allowing 8 more points than the 15th ranked team in the SEC, and then rushing. This is my absolute favorite one. They're allowing 211 yards on the ground per game. Florida is 15th in the league, and they're averaging 49 yards less than that total.
Gosh.
So it's not just like they're the worst. They're the worst by a country mile easily. It's wild. They've allowed over 600 yards total offense twice. They've allowed over 300 rushing yards in a single contest. Yes, in a single contest twice this year, not once but twice. Oh, Dylan Sampson, Tennessee's offense. Peyton Lewis should have a day, man.
Yeah, I like you mentioning Peyton Lewis there because just looking at numbers this week, last 3 games, 27 carries against Kentucky, 26 versus Bama, 27 versus Florida. And I get it when you're looking at stat. This ain't PS5. This ain't EA Sports College Football 25 where we just keep feeding the guy. We need somebody to help carry that load. We need to share the wealth a little bit, and Peyton Lewis can be that guy. With Deshaun Bishop being out this week, he's got to step up. What's the deal? I'm going to put you on blast. You do this to me, I'm going to take over Locked On Talking Vols here. What's the deal with Cam Selden? Red shirt? Is that because he's played in exactly 4 games? And I see the rumors, and I'm a fan. Host of the Talking Vols Network, voice of the common Tennessee fan is what Kaner says. I didn't say that. Stop atting me, bro. Stop atting me. I didn't say that. Transfer portal. Has he been recruited over?
This has been the skin for this segment for like 2 years. You want me to change it? You want me to change that?
Oh, I don't care. I just think so it hurts somebody's feelings. They're like, Boogie calls himself the voice of the common Tennessee fan. I'm like, I've never called myself that.
Maybe I'll just put Boogie. He tries really hard. I'll put that up
Boogie,
there
he's an
next
App State fan.
yeah, that'd be funny. As far as Cam Selden, like I'll just go out and get this out in the open. Like I don't know specifically. I have not talked to him. I haven't talked to somebody that's right now. I don't know specifically, but I mean, let's use our noggins here. Exactly kind of what you painted out. He's played in 4 games. Okay, he's not returned kicks. Okay, he was not in on the football game when Deshaun Bishop went down the other day. I mean, he's the last one out running through the tee. It looks like a guy that's not very invested in this football program right now. I don't know if this is a him decision. I don't know if this is a Tennessee decision. I don't know if it was like, hey, let's part ways at the end of the year, but, just come in here, be a part of the team, do all this stuff, and if we absolutely need you, we're going to have to put you in there, da-da-da. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but 100% that's what it looks like in today's era. He's not thought of as a guy right now at all, and so I think that's why you saw Peyton Lewis go in, and it's unfortunate because I think Cam Selden's got a lot of ability. I know fans love Cam Selden. End of the day, he's done nothing for you. So like if he were to leave, it's not like it's a huge loss. The potential's there, but he didn't play last year. He was hurt all this offseason, and that's why Deshaun Bishop took advantage of his opportunities and went and ran with it, no pun intended. And you're not going to fault Deshaun Bishop for that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but Boogie, it 100% certainly looks like that is the case. And that's not shocking because we're in college football era 2024.
Yeah, and Deshaun Bishop playing the way he has, it doesn't hurt as bad. Like if you had told me going into the season, hey, after 2024, Cam Selden's going to transfer out, I would have said we got a huge problem because I thought they really needed to go to the portal heading into this year to get a running back because of a lack of depth there. Peyton Lewis, I think, is going to be a really good running back at Tennessee. Seeing Deshaun Bishop do what he's done just gives me a little bit more excitement for that running back room. And then Dylan Sampson, he's got to be gone, right? One of my co-hosts keeps trying to convince me that Dylan Sampson's coming back next year. I'm like, man, I just don't see it. Like,
yeah,
why?
Especially with him being a running back, tread on the tires. I mean, especially this year, like, bro, go. Like, you've got to go. And, like, Tennessee does not want to give him the football 27 times. I promise you that. But in order to win football games this year, they're having to give it to him 27 times. Just running backs again, like they're so, this. I mean, they don't make a whole lot of money in the NFL. There's only a handful that are true RB1s in the NFL. I mean, it's pretty much by committee, and your stay in the league is not very long. So if I was advising him, I would have been like, yeah, absolutely go. I'm sure he will. I will be shocked if he comes back, but hey, if he does come back, woohoo! I mean, that'd be great.
Hey, let's win a natty. Come on back. Let's win a natty. Why not?
Give me some predictions about this game, man. How do you think it's going to go? Tennessee and Mississippi State. Again, I've said it the last couple of weeks. I think this is and I've not been all the way wrong. Like the offense looked better against Alabama. It looked much better against Kentucky. It's just the points didn't come with just finish. Like if Tennessee were to finish those drives, they would have put 50 up on the board. Nico would have had over 400 yards passing and 3 or 4 touchdowns. So I've kind of been partially wrong, but I this has got to be the week, Boogie. Tennessee's offense is going to go off.
That's where I'm at. This is the week. Why not? I'm a fan. Fan is short for fanatic. I'm psychotic. I'm a lunatic. I think they finally put it all together. It's just maddening, man. It is maddening when you look at it and you just lay it out. It's like Dylan Sampson's fumbled twice in the last 2 weeks. Like that's not who Dylan Sampson has been. And then the Nico fumble, just so many the drop passes, and it's maddening because it's how do you fix it? Like just catch the ball, right? It's coaching. How is it coaching? Just go catch the football. It's maddening. I think they just need a little dang confidence, as silly and stupid as that sounds. And I think Nico found his confidence. Yep. I think he started to find it in the second half of that Alabama game. Then we saw him go out and had the other guys executed along with him. He throwing for over 400 and probably 3 touchdowns. Like what a day for Nico. So let's build some confidence. It's a get right game. It's a game that's about Tennessee. It's not about Mississippi State. 24-point favorites, 24 points. I think Tennessee goes out and they just beat the brakes off of Mississippi State. And as fans, we're going to be saying Vols by 50 going down there to Athens, but Josh Apple's got to prove he can go to Athens and win on the road. But can you imagine Nico Iamaleava, redshirt freshman, and he beats Alabama, Florida, and Georgia all in his first year as a starter? You talking about the stuff of legends.
And here's the thing. Some people still say he sucks, right? because
Yeah, of
you
course,
can't please
of
everybody.
course.
Yeah, you're right. If you paint out that picture, he's already beaten Florida, already beaten Alabama. Okay, but Florida sucks, but Alabama's down. I mean, are we moving the goalposts here? What the big three? You beat Florida, you beat Alabama, and if you were to beat Georgia, goodness gracious, man! I mean, that is one heck of a first year as a starting quarterback, and he's only going to get better.
Go ahead and delete the comment. I know somebody's typing in the comment right now. Nico didn't beat Florida. Nico didn't beat Alabama. It's a team game. But if he loses those games, then Nico lost those games, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah,
go
what
ahead and
happens
delete
when
the
he plays
comment.
bad?
Go ahead and delete the comment because I know it's coming. But it's just, man, it's just impressive. And yeah, this team's leaning on defense. The offense is just doing enough. Let's put it all together. Let's go beat the brakes off of Mississippi State, and then let's have some confidence. Maybe it's false confidence. I don't know, but let's have some confidence going into Georgia. Look, man, this team. Gosh, again, if you told me 10-2 at the beginning of the year, and that's counting a loss to Georgia, this team has a shot at 11-1. They've got a shot at Atlanta. Like if you told me we're going into the Mississippi State game and this is where we're at, sign me up 10 out of 10 times. Let's go freaking take care of business, starting with Mississippi State, and then go to Georgia and get a dub there too. Why not?
Yeah, out the door. Let's go back just a second, okay? Let's think back in 2019, Mississippi State came here. That year, you lost to Georgia State.
Ugh.
That year, that was 2019, right? Yeah, that year you lost to Georgia State. You lost to BYU, okay? And then you went on a run beating some mediocre teams where you ended up going to a bowl game. I recognize that. But that year against Mississippi State, you had a JG. He had a broken hand that game, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had a comeback route. Tyler Bird. It was a really big reception. Tennessee ran the football a ton. Just that day at Neyland Stadium, the last time you played Mississippi State here, think about just how different things are from then until now.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Some people still want to say Tennessee's awful. I mean, I get that. You can always expect more, but boy, 7-1, number 7 in the college football playoff rankings. You've had a 11-win season. You've had a guy that should have been a Heisman finalist. You might have a Heisman finalist on your team now. I don't know. Like, it's wild, man. Sign me up. This is what it's all about right here.
That just to give you the sense of false hope that I'm going to have against Georgia. Just to go back to that little winning streak in 2019, that 7-game winning streak into the bowl game. Oh, I had all the confidence in the world going into 2020. Jeremy Pruitt's the man. He's got it figured out. We're moving in the right direction. Hey, I believe in everybody until I don't have a choice. But man, Heupel, gosh, I almost feel like we backed into a home run. We had to hit absolute rock bottom in order to climb ourselves out of the ditch, dust ourselves off, and we've got a ball coach now. We got a ball coach.
2020 year, I mean, there was NFL talent all over the field. So, like, I mean, it's one of those offseason conversations. But you look at that offense. I mean, I think the stat was something like 9 of the 11 starters were drafted in the NFL. Like, it's amazing.
I turned on him so quick. I had the confidence, turned on Jeremy Pruitt real quick in 2020.
Boogie, you got a morning show right now here on a Friday morning. Then you'll have a post game show late Saturday night. Is that right?
Yeah, we got a Friday morning show. We'll be talking about Bob Kessling. We'll be breaking down this Mississippi State game. We don't condone gambling on the Talking Vols Network, but if you just so happen to gamble, I bet we might have some advice for you on Friday morning. Tailgate show an hour before kickoff, and then post-game show immediately following the game. Friday afternoon, Coach Jay, Coach Rice going to break down what Mississippi does offensively and defensively. That is always a really, really good video. Those guys do their homework, so look for that on Friday afternoon as well.
Boogie, as always, man, thanks so much.
Appreciate it, brother.
With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on univested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privilege of high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standards is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. The product-specific disclosures visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. So big thanks to Robinhood Gold, and a big thanks as always to our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel, it is America's #1 sportsbook. You can get ready to tackle the NFL action this football season with America's #1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel. Because right now, new customers can get $5, can bet only $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives everything you need to place bets on the NFL all in one place. So When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out all the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same secure, easy-to-use app, and plus that same page where you make your bets. So you're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win with your first $5 bet. That's only at FanDuel.com. FanDuel, where you can make every single moment more. FanDuel, it's an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. FanDuel, it's America's #1 sportsbook. It's going to be a very short, very abbreviated segment number 3 here to get you set for the weekend. A lot of great conversation with Boogie Bentley. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Do want to touch base on Bob Kessling here, and a lot of that we kind of talked with Boogie about, but the guy was never acknowledged for being, for who he was. He was just always the guy that replaced John Ward, and that's the profession that you're in. It kind of comes with the territory. Believe me, I talk behind a microphone for a living. I write articles for a living. There are so many people out there that will listen or hear, excuse me, they're not listening at all. Not listening, they're hearing, they're not listening to maybe one thing I said 4 years ago that they disagree with, and they formulated their opinion about me, and they hated me for all existence. Some people are like that. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? Some people are like that. So some people just hated Bob Kessling because he wasn't John Ward. Well, here's news for you. Bob Kessling has never tried to be John Ward. Bob Kessling's just tried to be Bob Kessling. And I don't remember John Ward much when I was little. His last, of course, his last seasons, football 1998, and of course he went on to do basketball that year and a lot of success. Football won a national championship. I believe basketball won the SEC. A lot of success there, but I mean, I was very, very young when John Ward was still calling games. So, the voice of the Vols, which by the way Bob Kessling's never referred to himself as because he thinks that's John Ward. It's always been Bob Kessling in my lifetime, and I'm a radio nerd. I'm a radio geek. I mean, Boogie was joking about it, but I promise you that was the real deal in my house. My dad, I'm sure he started doing it with John Ward, but when I was little, my dad would mute the TV, turn on the radio, and that's how we watched Tennessee growing up. My dad would sit in the truck or sit in the car, like in the driveway, and just listen to the call, before heading into the house. And like those, I don't know, it's little things like that. Like my dad also, called Jeff County football games when I was little and before I was born. And so, like, I don't know if it's because of him or whatever, but I've always had a fascination with radio and sports broadcasting. And I remember they did like this senior spotlight thing on me when I was a senior at Jeff County, back in whatever year it was. And I remember they were like, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And like then I had no clue. And I was like, I want to talk football on the radio. Like, I mean, that's always been kind of a thing. And I've been blessed. I did that for 5 years at the Sports Animal, and that was freaking awesome. And I love going back there and playing radio still to this day. They let me come back there when they need help, so that's awesome. And I do this every single day, and I talk on a microphone. This isn't radio, but I'm on YouTube every single day. I'm on every single platform you can possibly imagine. I'll go to Rivalry Thursday games or the Neyland Stadium for Tennessee games, and people come up and give me a hug or, shake my hand, and that's freaking cool, man. The reach, the community, it's awesome. But my fascination with this industry has just always started with listening to Tennessee football games, and Bob Kessling was the guy that was behind the mic when I did that. Again, I'm young. I'm young. I don't remember John Ward. I'm young. Like that's I can't help that. But I remember Bob Kessling and listening to those games, and so I thought he was always prepared well. Brent Hubbs had a couple stories about that over at VolQuest.com. Over at VolQuest.com yesterday, and when the news came out about Bob retiring, and had a column about being on the stool to his right, because of course he's the spotter for Bob Kessling, but of course how Bob Kessling got into the industry and how he arrived at Tennessee as a walk-on fullback in 1972, I believe, and played 1 year of football, and then how that transitioned into a life here in Knoxville, doing what he loved. And I thought his story is really, really unique in how he came to be. He called games on Jefferson Pilot. He called games on SEC Radio. Of course, he's called games here on the Ball Radio Network. A student of the craft, learning from John Ward, learning from Lindsey Nelson, and and times. I mean, Bob Kessling's been a member of this, been a guest on this show several times, and I speak to Bob in the press box every single Saturday, and I see him around campus when we're out there doing media. He's always been good to me. So I'm happy, man. I mean, he had a great life. He had a great career. Excuse me. He's just retiring. He had a great career. And I think Tennessee fans should be appreciative of that. You know, there'll be some fans that just will never like him because he's not John Ward. And there'll be some Tennessee fans that'll try to nitpick. I promise you guys know me. Hey, no show's perfect. All right, I make mistakes all the time. I mispronounce the name. I stutter. I use crutches. You know, it is what it is, okay? So no game that he ever called or will call the rest of this year, it's going to be perfect. But I think he's done a really, really good job. So I'm happy for him. I'm intrigued to see what Tennessee does. I'm intrigued to see who gets this job. And what I said with Boogie, I mean, I think you offer the kitchen sink at Mike Keith for sure. And, you know, that's the easy answer. You know, will Mike even want to have interest in it? I don't know. We'll see. I have no clue. I've been fortunate enough to talk to Mike Keith several times as well, but you know, I'm not going to text him right now and ask. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not how the relationship I have with him works. So we'll see what happens. But this job will be coveted by several hundred for sure. And the decision makers over there at the Vol Radio Network, and you know, they'll have their hands full for sure. But an exciting time. I'm happy for Bob that he gets to retire. I'm happy for his wife Tammy. I'm happy for him to be a grandpa with all these grandkids running around. And you know, from one guy that grew up in East Tennessee, you know, watching and loving and wishing he was playing out there on Shields Watkins Field, man, like, thanks for painting the picture, dude. It's been a bigger part of my career journey, more than I think even I realized that now that I'm saying it out loud. Like, it kind of all started about listening to Tennessee football games. So I thank you for that. Hopefully we'll get Bob to come on the show and talk about it at some point next week. He's going to get hit up with a million different, you know, media requests and all that. But hopefully we'll get Bob on the next couple of weeks so he can come on here and kind of talk about why now the decision was for him and why it was the right call. Tennessee, Bob's going to be on the call tomorrow. Tennessee and Mississippi State. That is coming up tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN, of course, on the Vol Radio Network. Tennessee needs this one. Tennessee should have this one, and I think Tennessee is going to finally break out offensively and score a whole lot of points. We'll be back on a Monday morning. We'll be back and talking about it all right here on Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the weekend. Have fun at the game if you're going. This is Locked On Vols.